Introduction. It's great to be back in TJ. I was a very shy 9th grader, sitting in a seat just like this, looking around, hoping I would make some friends. But all of you have been here for almost a year, so you're not in that shape. But I have wonderful, inspiring teachers. And how many of you are freshmen? All right. Sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Wow, a lot of great class spirit. So, what is inspiration? Merriam-Webster says inspiration is to fill with an animating, quickening, exalting influence. There's also meaning to breathe. So I realize it is the afternoon, it's on a Friday, so bear with me. Just breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Now don't hyperventilate. That is the inspiring, exalting. You probably feel your heart, your lungs, your brain quickening a little bit, that animated spirit. And that's what you'll find with TJ teachers here. Now, as an introduction stated, last year we had a nomination process where 1,000 alumni out of 10,000 participated. We had over 180 teachers nominated. We had over 300 alumni nominated. And I poured through spreadsheets of 100 nominations, websites, videos, and we selected with the alumni board and put it all together. And then we had the alumni vote on who the teachers should be inducted to the Hall of Fame, and also what alumni had the most intriguing accomplishments. This was not supposed to be who's the #1 alumni. We've already had enough competition here at TJ. It was really to have what is most intriguing, what do you want to learn more about? And here are some of the discoveries I made for what was in common. They had 3 attributes. The teachers who were inducted, as well as the alumni who are recognized, they're creative thinkers. It is a cliche, but think outside the box. A lot of us are fortunate to a box. You're at TJ, at a great, amazing high school, go to a good college, study hard, do good, go to a good job, study hard, do well at that job. But to think outside the box, think creatively. So our teachers have been very creative and getting to learn in different ways. They've also been leading us and teaching us. There's a lot of team teaching here at TJ. And you'll see that among alumni, it's hard to be an independent researcher in your own lab, just ignore all the researcher. The social network, and research, Facebook, and LinkedIn, there's so much connection. So it's really being a leader and a team player. And finally, helping people. There's so much need in this world to help each other. That really thinking of what is your passion, what do you love doing, and how can you help people doing it. So first, how many of you have the pleasure of being in one of Dr. Dell's classes? And for those outside of TJ who may be watching online, think of your most intense math or science teacher. And Dr. Dell, who unfortunately I did not take, but it was amazing. You can see some of the red text, some of you read all of it. But making math more intuitive. Being passionate, being incredibly knowledgeable, having these cherished conversations. This is the type of creative thinker that Dr. Dell was, and led his alumni to do similarly. For leaders and team players, I know these teachers have retired, that's why there's somewhat more casual photographs. This isn't the official Fairfax County picture, but Jane Golson and Carolyn Geegan were my humanities teachers. And it's marvelous. I went to China, India, Greece, Italy, looking at all this art and culture and history that they described to me, and my technical writing and writer, all this great lessons they taught me. Even if you're an engineer, you need to be able to write. And also, not all of us are going to love science for our career. It's great to be aware of science and technology, but some people are professional writers, actors, poets, and it's been amazing in the alumni nomination process how diverse the career options are. So don't feel like you have to be a research scientist. But if you do feel that way, you're in a great company. So they had a very highly polished collaborative teaching style, a seamless web of learning. And one of the commenters nominating them said that their model of teaching should be for nationwide aspiration. It was so effective. And finally, an example of helping people. This is Mr. Stevens. Anyone had him for? All right. This is Mr. Stevens fans. Yeah, he's the best. What I learned in computer science 20 plus years ago, I still remember. I was later working on a script or working on a program and thinking, oh yeah, Mr. Stevens taught me how to do that. It's still relevant. And that's the sign of a teacher that I may not know the computer language she taught. It's C or Pascal or Python or Java or whatever. But the principles are still the same. The logic, understanding. And one of my favorite quotes that was used to nominate Mr. Stevens was, he never taught me in a formal class, but he was still my go-to mentor for 4 years. He was such a great teacher. He wasn't even your teacher, and he still taught you. That is just uncanny. And that he really teaches you how to teach yourself, because it is a limited time. You only here at TJ for 4 years. You only have typically a semester or a year with a teacher, and you move on to another set of teachers. And yet, if they can teach you how to teach yourselves in your next TJ class, or your next college class, or graduate class, when you're teaching other students, you can teach yourself, and Mr. Stevens was known as the best incarnation of that. So along those lines of creative thinking, here's some alumni that embody that, who were nominated as part of this process last year. So Daniel Rubén Odio Pais, he was thinking big. He was looking at the landscape of mobile apps. Now, how many of you, this is a dumb question, we'll ask it anyway. How many of you have smartphones? Okay. How many of you have ever installed a smartphone app? Okay, I've seen universal hand raising, and people are a little tired on Friday afternoon. I'll take that as 100%. So Daniel thought there's going to be tens of billions of app installs. And how can we have a social network? How can we have interaction among apps? And what can I do as an entrepreneur, as a software developer to make that easier and better? And so he came up with Socialize, which is a software developer kit that programmers can use to connect their users to each other. So if I develop a game and I use Socialize, I can instantly connect all the users of that game to each other. They can have leaderboards, forums, discussions, challenge each other, all kinds of great things. And so you can develop that software development kit with a team of tech people. And in just a few years, you had over 900 apps, 67 million users, and was recently, last month, acquired by ShareThis company, or ShareThis. So Socialize is now part of that company. And if you check out the video later, I put these QR codes if you want to learn more about this particular company or about Daniel, to check out the QR codes. So that was thinking big in the billions of users, huge global social network. You can also think small. So Chris Love, class of 95, he's now a professor at MIT in chemical engineering. And he was thinking that it's really hard to test cells for cancer research. On the bottom here, you have a micro titer. You're testing about 200 cells at once. So it's a small number. And he came up with this item on the top you can hardly see. And that has about 10,000, if not more, tens of thousands of tiny little cells that are nearly a millionth the size of an individual cell. And on the right, you see little red and blue and green dots. That's showing each of those tiny little buckets, how those cells are responding, what proteins they're producing. So instead of testing out 100 or 200 cells, you can create lines of cells in the tens of thousands and test those and see which of them are producing the right proteins you want for your cancer research. So you can think big, you can think small. And that's the QR code as well for finding more information. So you can also think like insects. This is Jasper Fell, plus 95. He's there on a termite mound in Africa. And he's thinking, how do insects swarm? How do they act? What pulls them together? And so these are kilobots, so tiny little robots with the size of a quarter. Even the paintings are disturbed by these miniature robots. And how they can swarm and operate together to function as a unit. There's also how to be a leader and a team player. Michael Montemerlo was a software lead for a Stanford team that developed a driverless robot. In 2005, this robot here, Stanley, went over 100 miles in the desert and won a very prestigious national competition. And he designed the software that was directing this vehicle. There's a lot of really cool information in the article there. So for also being a team player in a very different venue than software robotics, who here came here for the sports, TJ? This is pretty amazing. I have not known this before we did this call foundations. But Stacy Wilson, class 94, is an Olympic gold medalist and could apparently kick a soccer ball like that. And also, helping people has been this common theme of helping people. Some of you may know, because it's relatively recent, but Riley Ennis Levin, the red dot, who was looking at horseshoe crabs and how their immune system can tag potential pathogens and how their immune system attack them. So we looked at combining cancer cells with those tags so that our immune system can attack cancer cells. So really fascinating research, really remarkable person. Nowadays he's, I think, still 19 or 20, and his LinkedIn page is like 10 pages long. And then finally, Adrian Randolph, class 95, who's doing Brain Lab, helping people actually control computers just with their brain. So people have paralysis or other problems, they can't control their body in a typical way, they can use brain control. Just with purely thinking, this cap or something equivalent will actually control the computer. Again, helping people. So these are the teachers. You can look at this at a time. I'm running out of time here. Barry McFadden, Alicia Odell, Stephen Lamb, McCarthy, Podesta, Nelson, E.P. Wilson, Gross. And for those of you at other schools, think of your favorite teacher, think of an inspiring teacher that's helped you. And then, we're not going to be able to read all this. We'll be online on the Alumni Association webpage. But again, think of your inspiring alumni. There's many, and I really encourage all of you to be inspired, to join this list. Really incredible folks out there. So I'll conclude saying, think creatively, be a leader and a team player, and help people. And finally, thank a teacher, because they're the ones who are making this all possible.